coming in with a very long overdue episode 50. This was one of my start of the year goals, was to get to 50 episodes. I think I've waited about a month to get this 50th one out, but it's coming in and it feels like a big milestone going to hit. Not that this podcast's gone huge. There's plenty of much bigger podcasts in the world, but it's nice to know I've kind of done one of those goals which I speak to people about. It's just being kind of relentless in the pursuit of your goals. So it's nice to get to that 50th. And I thought in this episode I would just go over some stuff that's been happening, some big changes, and really a little bit of talk on mindset at the end as well, because it's a hot topic for me right now. So quite a few big things have been happening. Just got back from Portugal. So me and Marla went away to Portugal and we're looking at moving over there next year. So for any listeners that don't know, I live in the UK. Probably could guess from the accent, but I live in the UK and I'm looking out the window right now. It's the middle of summer and it's raining. And that tells me what I need to know. And we're just looking at moving out there. So we're looking at the Algarve in Portugal and we're heading out again I booked it last night, in November. So look at some places with a potential move in Jan-Feb next year, if I can sell my flat or rent it out. We'll see. But that's a big move, a really exciting one. And I think that's one of the beauties of coaching, mentoring, working online, is the ability to kind of work from wherever you want. Admittedly, I spend most of my time here in my office, but it's nice to know we can go and set up a life elsewhere. Got the cats right next to me, they'll be coming with, obviously. There's loads of logistical stuff to go a long way, but if anyone who's listening has done that move from another country to Portugal, I would love to hear from you, to know what I'm missing. But it just looks amazing, and the quality of life, everything else is great. And that's why I started learning Portuguese. It is very difficult, and I think I'm going to struggle, but I'll give it a go. So, yeah, Portuguese bilingual incoming in about 5 years. So that's kind of update number one in personal life. In my professional life, the Strom Coaching Academy, in terms of the school, I'm shutting down or doing it a different way. So I've taken away the paid tier and I've pivoted. So today is Thursday the 30th of July and tomorrow is Friday the 31st of July. Obviously, that's how the dates work, Matt. But that is when I'm launching my new program, which is, I'm titling it SCA Foundations. This is a foundational course. I'm just redoing what the Strom Coaching Academy is. I've had a couple of iterations. I've done intake-based things originally, and I tried the community aspect. And honestly, I just, given my time schedule, given I think how people want to consume information, given the urgency of coaching, I think an intake-based cohort approach is much, much better. And I'm really excited. So based upon the response, I had I think over 80 people now on the priority list, and a lot of people expressed that. So I'll be moving that forward. The academy itself, I'm still unsure what to do with that, if I'm being completely honest. I think the best thing is to have it as some form of free information, like a free little community to get some across there, just to give back. I always like to have some free content that people can consume. I appreciate coaching, mentoring is expensive. It's not for everyone. So I want to make sure there's something I can give back, but definitely not doing it in the same way as before. It's just, I'm running time poor, and honestly, the last thing I need to do is burn out again. So doing it in this manner means it's actually something I can do sustainably. I can do 3 or 4 launches a year. And honestly, I can do what I love doing the most, which is working with coaches and helping them grow. In this case, it's going to be, as the name would probably suggest, laying the foundations down for their business, for them to be able to grow. So that's really, really exciting to me, and yeah, really, really cool. So if you guys, by the time you listen to this, it's probably going to be too late to get access. But thankfully, I'm very blessed that the last couple intakes that I've done are sold out within the day. So I'm hoping this one does the same. But next time it comes up, I'll let you guys know in advance so we can go through it. And what I'm going to do in future episodes is, if it goes well, hopefully if it doesn't, I won't be doing this. In future episodes, I'm going to go through the tactics and everything I did to have a sell-out course. And basically, just to kind of give a preamble, I ran a giveaway promotion, I ran a webinar promotion, and then I've done a phased launch promotion in the last month to lead up to this, all in attempts to sell this thing out. So if it goes well, if it goes where I want it to, I'll make sure I break that down completely so that anyone that's looking to do a similar phase launch at least has a template and a structure for how I did it, and you can go and implement that yourself and hopefully have some great success with that, because that's all I want this to be. So that's one of the other big changes recently, is closing the academy and then moving on. So I wanted to talk about mindset. This is something I have really been thinking about a lot, especially when I had some downtime when I was in Portugal. A lot of time just sat by the pool, and I like to read, examine my own thoughts. And I've been talking a lot about this on podcasts and on my content recently. But one of the things I come back to a lot of the time is resilience, and how important that is as a business owner. So as a coach, as a business owner, you're going to lose all the time, right? And I've seen that firsthand in the way that this launch has gone. And I'll give some little micro examples of what I mean by that. So during the giveaway, I launched it. Within the first couple of hours, very few people had responded to the giveaway. I've seen people before at that point, they deleted the giveaway, pretend it didn't happen, deleted posts saying no one's interested. And I think that's so easy to believe that when you don't get this imagined response. Oh, hundreds of people should have entered. So what I did is I went round and messaged everyone that was in the poll. Sorry, I should be clear. I did a poll beforehand. Would people be interested if I released this product? Everyone that said yes, I said, I've got this giveaway coming up. Would you be interested? Here's the link. And I sort of drummed up some response. And as it stood in the end, I had over 100 people who applied for this giveaway. But had I stopped promoting it, had I stopped being on my stories nearly every day talking about it, just because I didn't get the immediate win, I wouldn't have got anywhere with it. As I did the webinar, every time I spoke at the webinar, I only got a handful of people. So the first time I spoke about it, got 5 registrations. And every single time I spoke about it, I probably got about 5 registrations. And it can be demoralizing when you think I should have loads of people signing up. By the end of it, I had 50 people sign up, or just shy of 50 people sign up. But again, if you went for that first initial response, you think, I'm a failure, I'm not going to bother with this thing. You can do a post and you might only get a handful of likes. You can do a call to action and no one might respond. Everything is a loss at some point, or at least if you view it that way. And what I'd always encourage everyone to do is understand that it's persistence beats resistance in this game. You're going to have to lose and lose and lose and lose. But the winners are the ones that keep going, and the winners are the ones that have lost more times than the losers have ever tried, because they keep stopping. And that's what I mean by resilience. If you look at this game as a finite game, as losing and winning, you're always going to be very, very disappointed when you don't get an immediate result that you want. If you just carry on and just understand that a loss is part of the game, and maybe it's an opportunity for you to get better, you're going to always see everything as a win. It's a cliche, and you see it in jiu-jitsu all the time, but you either win or you learn. And every time you lose, and I'm going to say lose in inverted commas, in speech marks, because you don't actually ever lose. Like, you don't ever lose this thing. Even if the launch tomorrow doesn't go well, then I've still learned something. I've still marketed myself for 3 weeks really positively. I still picked up a lot of coaching clients during this time. So is it a loss, or is it the fact that it just didn't go to my expectations and I can actually learn from that and get better? So next time I do a launch, it goes well. But unfortunately, what we see as coaches is the minute we don't get the response that we want, or at least we envisage that we deserve, we give up. All right, no one responded to the CTA, so I'm not going to do CTAs again. My initial response to this launch didn't go well, so I'm not going to bother doing launches again. Sorry, what? Doesn't make any sense. So, and I'll just give another example of that. I had a client who did a talking head reel, and it didn't get a great deal of engagement. And he said, is it fair to say talking head reels are dead? And I said, no, that doesn't mean that. Firstly, it's one data point. It's one bit of data saying that particular post on that day didn't perform very well. So firstly, maybe do 3 or 4 more talking head posts. Do they do better? Okay, then we analyze what was the hook, what was the verbal hook, what was the visual hook, what did you say in it, how did you enter the shot, was the text good, was the camera good, was the angles good? Like, there's so many different variables that influence the ability of that post to do well. And we can't just assume off one basis, of one singular interaction, that we need to stop doing it or change the way we go about everything. It's just not realistic. So that's what resilience is to me. It's just to carry on going regardless. And also, in that note, there's a concept called the gap and the gain, which I consistently come back to. It's a book I love. It's by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. And essentially, it's got 2 different models of thinking. One is the gap mentality, where you're always comparing yourself against an ideal in the future. You're saying, well, I'm here right now, but I'm not where I want to be, therefore I'm a piece of shit. I'm not good. As opposed to looking how far you've come, you compare yourself to how far you are away from this ideal. And obviously that's a moving target always, and it's a recipe for feeling like crap for the rest of your life. As opposed to having ideals, absolutely have goals, have ideals, but you want to be looking about how far you've come. And I love this mentality, especially when we think about the day-to-day actions. I've done this post, it didn't perform as well as I'd like, but now I'm in the gap mentality if I see that as a negative, as opposed to saying, okay, you know what, I've made loads of progress since I started, and actually I can use this as an opportunity to get better. Now I'm in a gain mindset. And the reason I talk so much about mindset, especially from a mentoring perspective, is we are bottlenecks of our business as coaches, as we are. So the more we have a handle and understanding of that, the more success that we are going to have within our businesses. Obviously, there's tactical implementation. That's what I work on with my clients also. We all need to know how to make better content, to sell better, to structure our offer better, to have frameworks, to have better coaching systems. Yes, those things all matter. But if your inherent core belief is that you're going to be a failure, guess what? None of that stuff's going to really help. So resilience is such an important trait. And I would strongly advise everyone to just consistently work on that element within themselves if they want to achieve success. Like I said, that's just something I've been thinking about quite a lot over the last 7 to 14 days and how much it impacts things. And honestly, if I've achieved any success, it's because I've been flexing that muscle a lot of just being resilient, because I'm not the most most talented person in the world by any stretch, in fact, but I've always believed in working hard, being resilient, working on your skills and getting better. And if I've achieved any success, it's down to those things. And that means if I can do it, anyone else can do it as well. So that's kind of why I mentioned this. Not because I've got something special that no one else can foster or create. Now, the final thing I was going to mention, this is just a really random aside, is this is a really random aside. I've just picked up, I had an iPad. So I bought an iPad for the academy to draw on, got the magic pencil. This is an absolute hack for anyone who has got about £300 additional. The keyboard on this, it turns it into almost a mini Mac. I know an Apple fanboy when I've got a mini Mac, so a Mac Mini, I've got a MacBook Pro, and I've got the Mac Pro iPad with the thing. So I'm an absolute Apple fanboy, I'm not going to deny it. But for work, unbelievable. I cannot stress how good that is. Just to flip out, do some writing, do some work is an absolute game changer. And the fact you can draw on it as well, man, this is one of those things I wish I'd done sooner, and an absolute investment. The fact that I've got right to the left of me, I've got my Mac Mini, and that makes me think I've paid Apple far too much money over the time, and my iPhone. But absolute game changer. So that's really it for me, guys. A little bit of a life update, a little bit of a personal update, along with a business update, and a little bit of a rant on mindset. So in future, when I talk about the academy, it will be that. So it will be a little bit different. So anyone that's looking to join the academy, it's still live, but have a little look. Now, I definitely want to give a shout out to all my sponsors. So Strom Sports Nutrition, absolute game changer supplementation company. He's actually one of my dream board companies when I got into the industry about 8 years ago. I was like, I want to be sponsored by them, and now I am, and they are the best in the game. Thoroughbred Analysis of Peptides, Youth Revisited for blood work, the Elite T-shirt I'm wearing, Physique Collective, my other business for PD and PD education primarily, but also training, nutrition, everything else. Best resource on the internet. And actually the company, I will give a shout out, the T-shirt company, Tommy Archer, who's one of my clients, he makes all our kit, and they are the best merch in the game. And one of the coolest things, he can guarantee, if you listen to him, he can give you a 4-to-1 return on investment for any gyms in the UK that are listening. Anyone that's involved in them, 4-to-1 investment. So you pay him £1, you get £4 back from selling your merch. He's unbelievable. So massive shout out to Tommy. He won't be listening to this. He's got better things to do, like making sick t-shirts, but give him a shout. So check out the links below if you're interested. And if you're not subscribing, please make sure you do so. It supports the show, and I'd really appreciate you. So I'll catch you in episode 51, where if this launch goes well, I'll be talking about how I did it. See you in the next one, guys. Thank you very much.